Just would like to welcome everyone to the meeting today, and hopefully everyone has the meeting agenda. Does everyone have a copy?
Yes.
Yes, okay. We'll proceed with certification of quorum. Okay.
Let's see. Town of Ashland, Mr. Hodges. Ms. Barnhart. Charles City County, Mr. Atkins.
Present.
Mr. Patterson. Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll.
Here.
Mr. Holland. Ms. Schneider. Here. Dr. Miller. Goochland County, Mr. Lyle. Mr. Vaughters. Hanover County, Mr. Davis. Ms. Pritchard. Mr. Hudson. Henrico County, Mr. Cooper. Vice Chair Rogish.
Present.
Mr. Schmidt. Newcastle County, Mr. Moyer.
Here.
Ms. Stewart. Powhatan County, Mr. Kinney. Ms. Morissette. Mr. McClung. Mr. Powers. City of Richmond, Mr. Addison. Ms. Jordan. Chair Newbill.
Here.
Ms. Robertson. Capital Region Airport Commission, Mr. Rutledge. GRTC, Ms. Torres.
Here.
Ms. Adams. RMTA, Ms. Dean. VDOT, Mr. Totten. Mr. Riblett.
Here.
CTAC, Ms. Erickson. Virginia Department of Aviation, Mr. Harrington.
Present.
DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky.
Here.
FTA, Mr. Koenig. Federal Highway Administration, Mr. Nelson. Mr. Rucker.
Here.
Ride Finders, Ms. Ruffin.
Here.
Mr. O'Keefe. I will circle back and call Hanover County, Mr. Davis.
Present.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call for attendance, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. If everyone would take a moment to review the meeting agenda with an eye towards any recommendations for amendment. Are there any recommendations for amendments?
Move for approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And Eric, are we need to vote?
Yes. We need to
Okay. If I might have, we have a second and would ask all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I will, and I think Sid is going to, and so Sid is populating the screen in terms of an item that we're going to discuss a little more under the Secretary's report. But really wanted to introduce to you the idea that RRTPO is partnering with the Port of Virginia to host a tour of port facilities in both Hampton Roads and in Richmond this fall. And we will go into greater detail about that. The tentative date is October 3rd, but I'll provide more information, so I know Martha will join us and share some, but really, this is a great opportunity to visit both ports, to travel to and tour the facilities, to get background information about them. The members all here would be invited, as well as the TAC and Community Transportation Advisory Committee would be invited. Members of the Commission and CBTA who do not serve on this policy board would also be invited, as well as any additional administrative representatives, CAOs, et cetera. Again, the date to hold tentatively will be 10/3/24 for the port tour. We would forego a meeting in that month to accommodate that, but more to be discussed. Just want to at least tempt you with the idea, get excited about the possibilities. We pass and approve any number of projects to be funding. It'll be really great to see how those funds are being used in the various places that we support. So with that, try not to be too long-winded. Yes,
Is that at the same time as our meetings normally would be, or no?
this would, we were talking, it would really be probably an all-day meeting, because this tour, we're going to Hampton Roads and then the Port of Richmond, so,
Hampton Roads, okay.
yes.
I saw Port of Richmond is all I saw here, sorry.
Yeah, Port of Virginia visit, but it would be touring Hampton Roads and Richmond. So it would be pretty much that, say that early morning time, straight up, we would have lunch as well would be provided.
Okay, I have 2 evening engagements, that's the only reason I'm
I
asking.
don't think we'll get into evening.
Okay, all right, thank you, just asking.
Okay. Martha, welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
Yes, I've just tried to give a just very brief overview of the Port of Virginia tour of Hampton Roads and Richmond this fall, but I was looking for a more extensive discussion once we got into your report.
Okay, great.
Okay, all right. So with that, do we have anyone who signed up for the public comment period?
No, ma'am.
Anyone here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll proceed with the review and approval of the policy board meeting minutes. If you would take a look, page 5 for the May 9th and page 11 for June 13th. If you've had sufficient time to review, might I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to the secretary's report, and so Martha will give more detail about the visit to the Hampton Roads and Richmond ports. Martha, I'm going to turn to you. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I know that everyone was already given kind of the details as we have them right now, but thanks to Dorian Allen, our new-ish planner on our team. He's been working with Thomas Cross and others at the Port of Virginia to be able to put this event together for us. It will be a visiting tour to the Port of Virginia facilities in Hampton Roads, as well as the Port of Richmond here. Our team is working with the ports team to put together a briefing packet for all of the policy board members and other invited guests so that, as Dr. Newbill said, we can really see the benefit of the decisions that you make in the room here today or over the last few years and how that affects the region from a freight logistics perspective. So we're really excited about that. As she said, we're tentatively planning on October 3rd in lieu of a regular business meeting. And with Mr. Gregory's guidance, we're making sure that we're meeting all of the requirements. But I will just share, I think I see him there in the room, if who I can see. So I will just share that as of July 1st, we have better clarity and room within the Freedom of Information Act provisions to be able to host this event. And so we'll be following that under his guidance. With that, I know we just wanted to make an invitation that if anyone has any specific questions that they'd like to make sure are answered in the program or content that they want us to cover, to just connect with Mr. Allen or Dr. Newbill. If you'd like to have a discussion now, we'd be happy to take notes on that.
Sure. Are there any questions? Certainly the one about the timing. This would be something we're looking at first half of the day, correct?
Yes, ma'am. As you
Dorian,
said,
Yes, ma'am.
want to recognize you in the back there, and feel free to provide any comments as well. But this would be the first half of the day we're talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is a bus tour.
Yes, ma'am.
So we would all gather and ride together clearly to Hampton Roads, and then I'm assuming back around to Richmond.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions?
What's the date again?
It is October 3rd. And as Martha also indicated, we would forego a board, our TPO meeting for that month in lieu.
And so we'd like meet here and I'll go, or are we all driving separately, or what's going?
Probably would come to a centralized site. Martha, will that be here that we would board the bus?
Yes, I would plan on that. We will be arranging transportation due to the security provisions to access the port facilities. We would need to travel together. And so we would have just as you said, everyone would meet at a location in Richmond. We would board the bus, ride to Hampton Roads, visit the facilities, hear the presentation, meet with Mr. Edwards, the CEO, and then have lunch, and then come back and visit the Port of Richmond facility, and then conclude the tour visit after that.
All right.
Comment.
Yes.
So we're happy to support any transportation needs.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That will be great. I was wanting to make sure you heard that, Martha.
I'll contact you, Adrian. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. We appreciate that. And so, any further comment or partnership offers? Okay. So again, Dorian, we can outreach to him. We have your contact information, but also to Martha for any further questions or. Okay. Thank you so much. Look forward to this. Martha, next item, the RRTPO meeting schedule.
Thank you. Yeah, so included in your packet, there's a draft meeting schedule for fiscal year 2025. You'll note that it does include the October 3rd tentative port visit in lieu of a regular meeting. The other note that I'll make, just moving down the list, is that the typical meeting schedule for the TPO is to meet on the first Thursday of the month. We've made adjustments where we are aware of a conflict. So we've proposed taking advantage of the last Thursday of the month in October in lieu of that first Thursday of November, just given the hecticness of those schedules. And then our joint annual meeting, we are proposing to move from the June timeframe to December. So this means we have a bit of a compressed schedule this fiscal year, but going forward, then the joint annual meeting with the CVTA and the commission would be on the December timeframe. In the next calendar year, I want to just note that I do believe that there is a conflict still later in the spring with the, Janice, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's still a conflict on this schedule with the intercity visit that was just recently announced. So we'll need to work through that. But I think we have enough time, Dr. Newville, to address that as we get closer to that date later in the year. We've included the TPO and the executive committee, the TAC, and the transportation, community transportation advisory committee meeting schedules as well. Those committees will be reviewing them, but wanted to be able to put the calendar out for everyone here. And if the policy board's so inclined, then they would vote to approve the meeting schedule for the policy board and executive committee.
Any questions, comments relative to the meeting schedule at this time? Seeing none, might I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Martha, last item, member profile forms.
Yes, thank you. We are interested in making sure that we get profile forms that are up to date for everyone. This helps us get to know a little bit more about our policy board members and make sure that we are aware of important information, like how you prefer to be contacted, what contact information you are comfortable with us sharing, not publicly on our website, but with other policy board members and committee members and members of the jurisdictions. So I think there are copies for you to hand out today. We can also send a digital form if that's easier for you, but we want to make sure that we collect as many of these as possible to update our database. One other thing I will note on the meeting schedule, the action that you just took is what will drive the forwarding of the calendar invites. We are aware that some of you have hanging calendar invites from past years or recurring events. Just a note, if you see anything in your calendar that references our old office address, 9211 Forest Hill Avenue, those calendar invites are no longer relevant. So you can either disregard or you can attempt to delete them from your calendar, whatever works best for you. But we just want to note that we're aware of that, but we don't have a way on our side to pull them back out of your systems.
Martha, you indicated you would send digital as well.
Yes.
If anyone would like a printed copy, I can give you one today to fill out. Otherwise, I'll send them
Digital.
out. And if you've already filled it out, some people did last year, just ignore, you don't need to fill out a new one, but anyone who didn't, we'd really like to have those.
And
Thank you.
do a time frame for when would like to have receipt of.
Mine's sitting at my desk at home. I'll try to get it to you.
If we could get them all back in July, that would be nice, and make an update in August, I think that would be
Okay,
good.
so by the end of,
End of July would be wonderful,
okay, so
sooner
if
would
we
be better.
can, sooner would be better, but not later than, preferably by the end of July. That would help get us organized in that regard. Okay. Martha, anything else?
No, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll proceed with new business and Mr. Bush.
Good morning, Madam Chair,
Good morning.
members of the Policy Board. The first item that we have for you today is related to the Smart Scale program. This is endorsement for local and agency project applications. So this, going back to our transportation planning cycle, is obviously related to the funding part of the process. So a little bit of background, and if you've already heard this at your locality level, I apologize, but Smart Scale is the principal funding program for transportation in the Commonwealth. Basically, it's two different funding programs that score projects the same way, and it helps the CTB to make an informed decision about how to use our limited transportation dollars to get the best benefit for the Commonwealth. The MPO, the RRTPO, is required to endorse any projects within our region that are not already listed in our long-range plan or that are on a corridor of statewide significance, so like an interstate or some of the major arterials, Route 1, 360, some of the bigger roads throughout the region. To avoid any potential issues of interpretation, what the Policy Board has done historically is to endorse all of the pre-applications across the region, so that provides maximum flexibility to the localities and agencies as they advance their projects to pick from all of your pre-applications, but also to ensure that we've covered all our bases. So to be able to do that, what staff does at each round, and you've seen this diagram before, but we review all the projects that are submitted across the region against the long-range plan. So every project based on our long-range plan is either considered regional in character or it's local and programmatic. So regional projects are generally those that add capacity to the roadway system, changing an interchange, adding new lanes, or projects that provide new transit or bike ped connections. So regional trails network, looking at new bus routes crossing jurisdictional boundaries, that sort of thing. So we reviewed each of the projects to determine whether they were regional or local and programmatic. And if the project was regional, the requirement is that it's in our long-range transportation plan. So going through the review, all but one of the applications that was submitted is either local and therefore able to move forward, or regional and already in the plan. The one project that wasn't already listed in our plan is the interchange of 360 and 64 on the Henrico-Richmond City line. That project came out, it was basically developed by a study that came after the long-range plan was developed. The board in the last round endorsed the project and agreed to moving it forward. So we're asking that we do the same this round. And with that, we're committing that if we need to revise the long-range plan in the future, we'll do that to make sure that the project is able to move forward. So the requested action today that TAC recommends is to endorse all the Smart Scale pre-applications from localities, from Plan RVA, and from GRTC. There is a draft resolution of approval in your agenda packet on page 43 for your consideration. I do have a few revisions that have been requested since this agenda packet went out. So there are 4 projects which we know are not moving forward. The local sponsors have requested to pull off of that list. The other request that I have is that you allow staff to go back through one last time to review all the names of the projects before we finalize and put signatures on it, just to make sure that they're consistent with the final application names that are moving forward in Smart Scale. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this item.
Do we have any questions relative to this item? Yes.
Madam Chair, yes, quick question. Miles, in terms of the regional boundary, I think you've expanded the MPO boundary to include the entire PDC and also corresponds with CPTA boundary.
Everything except Southern Chesterfield. So
Okay.
Southern Chesterfield still with Crater.
Gotcha, okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion at this time?
Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
So would the motion to approve the resolution as presented be subject to those minor clerical corrections?
Yes, sir, that is our request.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
I'm sorry.
Just want to make sure.
Motion to approve since no one else.
Might I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Bushing, let's move on to the next item.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you again. The second item is also related to Smart Scale Round 6, and this is for the RRTPO's projects. So as with the local DRTC and the Planning District Commission, the MPO is also eligible to submit applications for each round of Smart Scale. Obviously, this is funding related as well. The request for this one is for the policy board to approve our list of 8 final applications, full applications for this round. Essentially back in, I believe it was February, we came to you and requested approval of a slate of pre-applications. Those pre-applications have gone through the pre-application process, they've been screened. Out of that, we have 8 applications that are able to move forward as full applications. And so the review's already been conducted, the exact same as we did for all the locality projects. All of the projects that are coming through the RRTPO are regionally significant and are projects that we're advancing out of our constrained plan. So it's really moving forward with the vision that we laid out when we adopted that plan. So the request today is for the board to approve this list of 8 projects. So it's I-95 Route 10 Phase 2 in Chesterfield, Huguenot Road Congestion and Safety Improvement in Chesterfield, Route 360 Wood Lake to Otterdale widening, 2 Gaskins Road interchange projects in Henrico, short pump area improvement in Henrico, Walmsley Boulevard Bridge and extension, and Belt Boulevard BRT streetscape in the city of Richmond. And the TAC has reviewed these 8 projects and recommends advancing all 8 of them as full applications. There is a draft resolution of approval on page 52. And I would also like to caveat again that we would like to just confirm and make sure the names are all correct before we submit this and finalize it. At that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions from Mr. Bushing at this time? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second, to approve the resolution.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'm not asking for abstentions or otherwise, because it seemed like we had 100%, so normally I would ask for. Thank you, Mr. Bushing. Mr. Ramos.
Thanks.
Share that screen. Yeah.
Sorry, it's just hard to see from back here.
Yeah.
This is the bottom? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm Carrie. I'm here to present the GRTC Maintenance Facility Admin Expansion. It's a new project, and currently it's in the authorized project phase. It's already been recommended through the TAC that it is approved by the policy board, which is you all. GRT seeks to add the maintenance and admin facility expansion to the 4-year transportation improvement program. The estimate changes needed amendment with fiscal conformity reviews and public approval, or an RRTPO approval. GRTC purchased the adjacent property east on East Belt Boulevard. They are in the process of doing the following: the environmental assessment, the remediation plan, remediation, and the demolition of existing structures on the property. This supports projects included in the constrained long-range plan for Connect RVA 2045. It is inside the former ozone maintenance area, however, it is classified as exempt. The funding is in total about $1.2 million. Federal FTA funding coming from the 5307 is about $952,152. Local funding is about $238,048. And then the TAC has recommended approval of the policy proposed tip amendment and as requested by GRTC. The draft resolution is on page 8, and if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, I can either answer them or point you in the right direction. Please feel free.
Thank you, Ms. Ramos. Are there any questions at this time?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So this is an increase in the maintenance facility?
Yes, I believe so.
And one could argue that because GRTC has been fantastic and has increased the amount of service to the Richmond metro area, this facility is needed in order to be able to maintain and service the increased vehicles. Is that correct?
I believe so, but I would.
Yeah, it's for a parking lot for additional fleet.
Yep, yeah. So you need the space.
Yeah.
Motion approved.
Second.
Did we have another?
I just, the local funds, I assume, are coming from the CBTA 15%, is that, or no?
It's a mixture between our local and our CBTA.
Okay.
I think I have a motion and a second.
And motion
Is that
approved,
correct?
yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And you cannot get rid of me that easy. I am back with another project. This one is from Henrico. It's a new project for community charging and fueling infrastructure. It is also in the authorized project phase, so much like the other project, it has also gone through the TAC and it is now at the policy board. This is just done to make sure that we have crossed all of our T's, dotted all of our I's, and everything is good to go before we go into the implementation phase. Henrico has proposed to include the Community Charging Network project in the Transportation Improvement Program, also known as the TIP, requiring amendments and procedural steps for fiscal constraint conformity review, public review, and RRTPO approval. Henrico County has secured $1.4 million to establish an electric charging vehicle network, advancing sustainable transportation and infrastructure. Henrico County selected EV charging sites based on population density, traffic flow, accessibility, and potential for future expansion and demand. However, it is inside the former ozone maintenance area, but this project is classified as exempt. It also supports projects and is consistent with the constrained long-range plan for Connect RVA 2045. Again, the funding is about $1.8 million. The engineering phase is about $3.6 million. And the construction phase is about $1.4 million. TAC has recommended approving Henrico's request to amend the TIP in the inclusion of the project funded by the CFI funds. A local draft can be seen on page 59, and we are happy to answer any questions or again point in the right direction to have the questions answered.
Any questions for Ms. Ramos?
Or page 60.
Seeing none.
63 is here.
Was there was a question?
No, page
No,
63
page
is the
63
actual-
for the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Great initiative.
Madam Chair,
Might have a,
Well, the only thing I would say is that it's just for the people who may watch this later. I know that both of these, one of the things they mentioned that it's within the ozone zone. However, I'm pretty sure that these vehicles, this type of vehicle doesn't affect the ozone.
Yes,
Right.
that's why it's exempt, so it's all,
So just so people know, it's actually a really good project.
right.
And
It
I
is.
think Henrico wants to make a motion.
Yep, so moved.
We do.
I'm surprised.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Might I have vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Great effort. Great effort. Ms. Helen.
That is hard to see, Carrie.
yeah.
Use the front screen.
front screen, or
Like
just
the one in front of you.
like one of the ones down.
Oh, yep, that
That
is
might be a little
easier.
Yeah, it's tough trying to differentiate. It's worse than the eye doctor.
Okay. All right, now we're cooking with gas. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, all. The next TIP amendment that we are bringing y'all today is to add a project providing multimodal improvements on South Laburnum Avenue over I-64 to the TIP. So this is a new project that already has funding allocated, and this means that we are within the authorized project phase of this transportation planning process. A little bit of background, this amendment is being requested by Henrico County, and this project requires that the TIP be amended due to this being a new project with funds being added. Henrico County was awarded $6,300,000 through the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods program in fiscal year '23. So the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods program comes from combining two major discretionary grants. So you have the Reconnecting Communities pilot and the Neighborhood Access and Equity program. Those were combined together to give us this discretionary program. The RCN provides funding for projects that help reconnect communities that were fractured through transportation planning and infrastructure policies of the past. The multimodal improvements on South Laburnum Avenue from Thornhurst Street to Gay Avenue will provide improved facilities for bike and pedestrian safety, as well as better access to areas of interest south of I-64. This line just shows the scope of the project. As a new project, this is a starting point for getting this project into the TIP. The total cost of the project is expected to be $12,611,366, and there is $1,703,335 for the PE phase being allocated in FY '24. Any remaining balance will be funded through local funding. And our ask today is that the policy board accept the tax recommendation to approve this proposed TIP amendment, and the draft resolution will be included on page 68. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Thank you so much.
Are there any questions at this time? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Might I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
That's some of them.
Was that part of the, Don McEachin, grant that they got? Or is that only through the city? I thought that was,
I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Get put forward.
And we could get that question answered and get that information back to you for the future. Okay.
I know that was the same program that the Don McEachin dollars were coming from for the Jackson Ward project. So I wasn't sure if that was all part of that.
Right. We will find out.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Bushy?
Thank you again, Madam Chair. This is the final action item we have for you today. This is a request for additional transportation alternatives funding for an existing project. As you can imagine, this is related to the funding project phase of the planning process. So just a quick overview of the project. This project is a segment of the fall line. I know I heard some of you talking earlier today about the ribbon cutting for the first piece of the fall line, but this is another segment down in Chesterfield County on Route 1 between Gettings Lane and Dwight Avenue. Chesterfield is requesting additional TAP funding, which is Transportation Alternatives Program funding, to address the deficit. Essentially, this project was selected several years ago before we had the Ashland to Petersburg study in place and the fall line concept. It was originally a sidewalk project with the bikes accommodated on the outside lane of the roadway. With the fall line study, obviously the project has evolved to accommodate the fall line through this area, which is driving the deficit that we're seeing here. So this request is coming outside of the normal TAP cycle as this project is getting ready to start construction and needs additional funding. So this is a quick image showing sort of that original concept that I was talking about compared to where we are today. So as you can see on the left, the original concept shows it was a sidewalk with a wide outside lane. Obviously with the fall line, we have the shared use path. It's set farther back off of the roadway, so there were additional design considerations and obviously additional asphalt needed to build this. So that is really what's driving the cost. The increase you can see is broken down in this table. The total increase is $184,192. That is the change in the total estimate. What the request would be is to use Transportation Alternatives Program funding to cover that entire section of the deficit. If you have worked on TAP projects in your locality, you're aware there's a 20% match requirement. Chesterfield already has additional local dollars on this project beyond what was required for their match for the existing transportation alternatives funding, which would be used to provide the 20% match for this as well. So you can see in here, in total, Chesterfield has a little over $200,000 in local funding on the project, and this would bring us up to $644,000 in federal funding on the project as well. So the requested action is for the policy board to approve this additional transportation alternatives funding allocation to the project. The TAC has already reviewed this and recommends approval. We've also confirmed with VDOT that we have sufficient balance to cover that. So everything should be fine to make this project move forward. There's a draft resolution of approval included on page 72 in your agenda packet for consideration. So with that, I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Do we have any questions at this time?
What is the length of that piece of the trail?
I'm not sure the exact mileage, but it's a couple blocks on Route 1.
Any other questions?
It's not the whole portion though, that's just.
Yeah, no, I get that, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions and or comments? Just want to congratulate Enrico on the groundbreaking yesterday.
Yeah.
It was terrific and look forward to the full implementation. I know it's a few years out, but excited about the possibility, but the connectivity across our region is so critical, so thank you.
We're excited for that, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, might I have a motion? Second? Did I hear a second?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. With that item, we will move to the agency and committee reports, and we'll start with CBTA. Mr. Parsons.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to refer you to page 73 of your agenda packet for the CBTA update. A couple of things to highlight. The authority took a break in July and did not have a meeting of the full board. Our next scheduled meeting is August 9th. We do have a very dynamic meeting schedule with our TAC and our Finance Committee. Both of them met this week. And a couple of the items that are listed as agenda items for August 9th have changed slightly. We will have a discussion of bond finance validation and a regional funding deobligation policy, but they are not scheduled for action at this time. They are works in progress, and we'll continue to put time into that. We do have an exciting opportunity. Some of you may have heard there's an additional $7.5 million that was identified in the final budget for the General Assembly adopted in May, I believe, that is to be applied to the fall line in some capacity, and the CBTA is preparing a recommendation to the Commonwealth Transportation Board on our preferences and priorities for where that funding may be applied. So that will be an action item at the August meeting. We're also scheduled to adopt the fall line wayfinding plan, which has been a work in progress for many months, and it's exciting to have that ready to be unveiled and put to use. As you heard even today, there are lots of segments of the fall line that are getting ready to come online or even have the ground broken and the ribbon cutting. So being able to get that signage and wayfinding in place is very timely, and we're excited to put that plan out. Upcoming meetings, I did want to update that the TAC is scheduled to meet on August 12th. The Finance Committee will meet on August 14th. And then the Fall Line Working Group is scheduled for August 7th. I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions for Mr. Parsons? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Schickel?
Good morning, thank you. The commission hasn't met again since the joint annual meeting on June 13th, but we are scheduled to meet on July 1st. And the primary action item on that meeting agenda is the review of the regional solid waste plan. So we'll be working on that. Excited to be launching our work programs for the respective bodies that we support this fiscal year, and we'll be coming back with more robust reports at future meetings.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Schickel at this time? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Schickel. Ms. Adams? I'm sorry, Ms. Torres,
Just say
I'm
that.
looking, oh, she's not here, I got you.
Just a few updates for GRTC. We had 2 huge celebrations for ribbon cuttings for Henrico County. We had our Sandston microtransit launch at the end of June. I was very excited. It's our last kind of pilot zone that we're doing. And then we had a big launch yesterday for our Route 1 to J. Sargent Reynolds. And that will actually feature another expansion in October, all the way going to Virginia Center Commons.
I've seen the ribbon cuttings and it's been pretty exciting to look at the expansion, so thank you. It's just gonna make a major difference in terms of transportation for those for whom, this is a major form of transit, so thank you.
We did get some approval from Lamar, and we have billboards up for the link on Hull Street.
Okay.
So
So more to come?
I had
pushed
taken
it,
advantage
yeah,
of
I
that,
had
yeah.
tried to, because again, it wasn't getting as much traction as some of the others, so I had pushed, and it took a little cajoling, I think, by Dave, but we got some, I saw one up the other day,
Okay.
so yeah.
Great.
It's a great digital billboard.
Yeah.
It's great use.
Yeah, I just want to thank you. I was at the ribbon cutting in the Sandston area for the microtransit, and the consumers out there are very excited about that. I think it's going to make people move around. Excellent, so thank you.
Yes, it is great. Any other questions or comments for Ms. Torres? Thank you. Thank you for the work. Look forward to the next ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
Ms. Dean is not here. Yeah, so, okay. DRPT.
I just have a couple of notes for this month's update. Our 6-year improvement program was approved by the CTB on June 18th. That is available on the DRPT website. So we are working through on executing those contracts and grants. Besides that, we just wanted to remind everyone about Smart Scale. I know VDOT will probably have a more extensive update, but for those of you who may have any transit primary or secondary applications, we are working through the ones that we have been engaged with. Their pending deadlines first on July 15th, and then final applications due no later than August 1st. And in my agency update, I have contacts for our transit team if you have questions. Besides that, I think everyone already knew the announcement about our acting director, Zach Trogdon. He was our chief of public transportation. He kind of still is in a dual capacity. And so that was effective just a couple weeks ago. So we are working through kind of how he's navigating both of those roles, but we will see him probably come up in some of the future meetings. We did send out some correspondence for CBTA, so we will send out some as well for the MPO. And with that, it's my update. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Thank you. Let's proceed with DRPT. Well, who's in this?
Yes, that's DRPT.
Right, okay, I was okay. My notes are a little mushy, so, Mr. Todd, VDOT.
So,
Ribbit.
I'm here for
Red
Dale
bullets.
this morning. A couple of quick notes. This, like Tiffany mentioned, the CTB meeting last month had several approvals, also including the 6-year plan approval for VDOT. Along with that, or included with that, were the expected revenue sharing and TAP applications that were noted in previous CTB agendas in terms of their support, but they were officially included in the approval of the 6-year plan last month. Also included were the approvals of Henrico and city maintenance payments in the region. Also very important on an annual basis that is certainly done. At their workshop, there was a presentation on the update of the state of good repair policy particularly with respect to bridges and what qualifies in the future. The good news is the policy now allows for a more proactive approach to state of good repair bridge projects, allowing for bridges that are in a cusp scenario to actually be eligible for funding so that repairs and improvements to those bridges can be made prior to them becoming a lower condition rating. So we can get to improvements quicker and allow that to get more useful life earlier in the process at a lower cost, hopefully. That's the plan. So just know that the state of good repair bridge eligibility process is changed. Well, next meeting of the CTB is next week, workshop on July 16th, and action item on July 17th, or action meeting on July 17th. A couple of notes on Smart Scale. Full applications are still open for continued development. A couple of dates to keep in mind. July 15th is when we are expecting all readiness required documentation be provided with the applications. Full applications are actually due, the submission deadline is August 1st. A quick thank you to all of your staffs who have been working very hard, and we appreciate all the documentation and all the work that has been done up until now to make sure the applications are complete and ready to go. The last few weeks have been very busy for both your and our staffs. The live 6-year plan, like Tiffany mentioned, is also available online at this point. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Replet? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Rucker?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Nothing significant to add, Madam Chair. I will say that it's certainly good to hear that my colleagues around the table, jurisdictions around the table, are receiving or reaping some of the rewards from DOT discretionary programs. Good to hear, always good to hear. We certainly encourage you to encourage your staff to continue to apply for the myriad of discretionary programs that are out there. There's still a lot of money out there. In many cases, we are working directly with jurisdictions to administer and establish agreements based on the awards that you've received to date. So certainly good news to hear, and certainly encourage you to continue to apply for a number of DOT discretionary programs that are out there. There's a lot of money out there, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that you continue to receive, you reap the rewards from what's being offered.
Thank you. And you'll send to us, Sandy, that we need to make particular note of.
I will continue to apprise VDOT as well as work with the MPOs to advise them when these discretionary notice of funding opportunities are being made available. If you have any questions, certainly you can call our office, but certainly take advantage of those opportunities when they're presented.
Mr. Rucker, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Rucker at this time? No. Okay, other business. Any comments, members? Mr. Rucker?
We talked last time about I-895 a little bit, and I don't know, was there any action item that anyone was gonna get back to us on that, or does anybody remember how we left that?
I think
I think we just left it hanging.
Yeah, okay.
I know I sent a little background primer about 895 to Miles, talking about the history of it and who owns it now and that, and it was very interesting. It's been a loser for a long time, and still is.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Newbill, if I can,
Yes.
we can work with you to schedule a part of a future agenda to follow up on several of those items that have been raised over the last couple months, including 895.
That would be great. I was about to punt to you anyway, so thank you.
Okay.
Any other items or follow-up? Okay. The next meeting, even though the time you have for September 5th is 9, is actually, if you make correction, will be 9:30.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions, comments, anything for the good of the order? Seeing none, this meeting Thank you all for your attendance. Now stands adjourned.